Coming up on 5 Minute News. Republican Jim Jordan forces his own House Speaker vote. Trump gets gag order over election subversion case. And President Biden heading to Israel over fears war will spread. It's Tuesday, October 17. I'm Anthony Davis. After 2 weeks without a House Speaker, Republicans have met behind closed doors to try to unite around their new nominee, far-right MAGA Republican Representative Jim Jordan, a Donald Trump ally who appears to be quickly shoring up support to win the gavel. One by one, Jordan, the hard-charging Judiciary Committee chairman, has been peeling off detractors who view the Ohio Republican as too extreme and toxic. A major pressure campaign from Trump allies, including Fox News' Sean Hannity and Newt Gingrich, have helped quickly build support. A floor vote that could turn into a showdown is set for noon today. In a letter yesterday to colleagues, Jordan took a cooperative tone, vowing to bring all Republicans together if he becomes House Speaker after the ousting of Kevin McCarthy. The political climb has been steep for Jim Jordan, an outsider who has never got a bill passed and founding member of the Right Flank Freedom Caucus, who is now just votes away from a seat central to U.S. power. House Republicans have watched their majority control of the chamber descend into chaos since McCarthy's sudden removal from the job on October 3rd. All House business has ground to a halt. To seize the gavel, second in line to the presidency, Jordan will need almost the full majority of his colleagues behind him in a House floor vote, as Democrats are certain to back their own nominee, leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Jordan fell more than 50 votes short during internal party voting on Friday, and Majority Leader Steve Scalise, the party's first nominee to replace McCarthy, also failed to unify Republicans. Jordan has been a top Trump ally, particularly during the January 6 attack on the Capitol by the disgraced former president's backers trying to overturn the 2020 election that he lost to Joe Biden. Jordan is also under scrutiny for the cover-up of child sexual abuse while he was a coach at Ohio State University. In return for his loyalty, Donald Trump presented Jordan with a Medal of Freedom. The judge overseeing the 2020 election interference case against Donald Trump in Washington imposed a narrow gag order on him last night, barring the authoritarian former president from making statements targeting prosecutors, possible witnesses, and court staff. The order from U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan marks a milestone moment in the federal case that accuses Trump of illegally conspiring to overturn his 2020 election loss to Democrat Joe Biden. It's the most serious restriction a court has placed on Trump's incendiary rhetoric, which has become a centerpiece of his grievance-filled campaign to return to the White House while fighting criminal charges in 4 cases in multiple jurisdictions. The order may end a line of attack that Trump has made central to his campaign, but it may only be the beginning of an unprecedented fight over what limits can be placed on the speech of a defendant who is also campaigning for America's highest public office. In a social media post shortly after the hearing in Washington's federal court, Trump vowed to appeal. During a campaign appearance in Iowa, he decried the order as unconstitutional and claimed it would only help him in the polls. Speaking from the bench, Chutkan said Trump is entitled to criticize the Justice Department generally and assert his belief that the case is politically motivated, but can't mount a smear campaign against prosecutors and court personnel. No other criminal defendant will be allowed to do so, and I'm not going to allow it in this case, Chutkan said. Gag orders are not unheard of in high-profile cases, but there is little legal precedent for court orders limiting the speech of defendants running for public office, and none addressing presidential candidates. Legal experts have said the issue may end up before the U.S. Supreme Court. The ruling came as Trump was on board his plane traveling to early voting Iowa for a pair of campaign events. It's unclear whether Trump will abide by the new restrictions and for how long. President Joe Biden will travel to Israel and then on to Jordan on Wednesday to meet with both Israeli and Arab leadership, as concerns increase that the raging Israel-Hamas war could expand into a larger regional conflict. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced Biden's travel to Israel as the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip grows more dire and as Israel prepares for a possible ground attack on the 141-square-mile territory to root out Hamas militants responsible for what U.S. and Israeli officials say was the most lethal assault against Jews since the Holocaust. His Democratic administration has pledged military support, sending U.S. carriers and aids to the region. Officials have said they would ask Congress for upward of $2 billion in additional aid for both Israel and Ukraine, which is fighting Russia's invasion. But Biden's presence could be seen as a provocative move by Hamas chief sponsor Iran, or potentially viewed as tone-deaf by Arab nations as civilian casualties mount in Gaza. Blinken has already been traveling around the Middle East this past week, trying to prevent the war with Hamas from igniting a broader regional conflict. Truckloads of aids idled yesterday at Egypt's border with Gaza, barred from entry, as residents and humanitarian groups pleaded for water, food and fuel for dying generators, saying the tiny Palestinian territory sealed off by Israel after last week's rampage by Hamas was near total collapse. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.